Okay, here we go. We're beginning a new series called Life Change. And today we're looking at Jesus and money. All right? Now, I have to confess to you that when I was preparing this, I read a lot of stuff, and I was very tempted into doing stewardship and financial responsibility and how to be a good citizen by paying your taxes and saving for your retirement and looking after your family, etc. But I didn't. Because, if I'm honest, it bored me. But no, it didn't. I just wasn't comfortable where I was going, and it's something that we will look at later. Instead, what I found myself drawn towards was an incident in the life of Jesus. By the way, when I was doing the preparation for the first sermon, I came across some great quotes. What do you think of this quote? The only thing more sensitive than a man's skin is his wallet. Who do you think said that? Adolf Hitler apparently said that. Adolf Hitler. Somebody else said that the last part of a man to get converted is his wallet. But I'm not going to go there. What I would like to say is this: is the theme that I'm going to wrap this talk around is, who do you think Jesus is? All right, that's the question. Who do you think Jesus is? And that's a question that's important not only to those who are inquiring and seeking and checking Jesus out, if you like, but those who are following him, I believe, need to continually ask this question of themselves. Who do you think Jesus is? Now, as we get into this talk, I want you to know that it's the same kind of general rules that I normally use. If you have a question, if you have a contribution, if you want to say something, feel free. All I would ask is that you put your hand up so that I can see you, that you speak up clearly, and that it has a point to what you're saying. But if you don't understand, again, put your hand up and ask me to elaborate. The point, again, is always for you to engage with this word, not for me to simply preach this word. Does that make sense to you? This word is not for me, well, it is, but it's not for me to do, it is for you to own. And you can own it the best way you know how, by getting involved with it, okay? Let me just say this. The story, I'm not going to read it, but there are certain stories about Jesus. And I found myself drawn to this story. I talked about it at Eikon probably about 8 or 9 months ago. But there are certain stories about Jesus that stick in your mind. Some of them because they bless you. Some of them because they bother you. Okay? Do you ever find that? Some of them because they bless you. Some of them because they bother you. They kind of confuse and maybe irritate you a little, because you're not quite sure what it means for you. You're not quite sure how it plays out in life and in faith. And one of those stories, to be honest, that bothered me for a long time, perhaps more so because I was raised in a very devout Roman Catholic home with relatives who were monks and nuns. But this was a particular story that was referred to from time to time. And in their books about Jesus, Matthew, Mark, and Luke refer to this story. And it's a story about a man who once asked Jesus, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Okay, I'm going to read it to you now. Mike, can you put it up there? Here we go. As Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. "Good teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "Why do you call me good?" Jesus answered. "No one is good except God alone. And you know the commandments. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give false testimony, do not defraud, honor your father and mother." "Teacher," he declared, "all these I have kept since I was a boy." Jesus looked at him and loved him. "One thing you lack," he said. "Go sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me." At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. Mark tells us that this individual he's described by others as a young ruler, as a person of influence and wealth, actually ran up to Jesus, which was something that people of influence and wealth never did, because it was undignified and considered inappropriate. They ran, and then he threw himself on his knees before Jesus. So here we have a young, wealthy person of influence running up and humbling himself before Jesus in full public view. And he's asking a question that was a gift to a teacher like Jesus. You look at the guy and you think, this is an ideal candidate for a church. Ideal candidate for a church plant, or somebody that you want to have in your church. He's able, he's affluent, and he's agreeable. He's not like you lot at all. But when you look at what's happening, you think, this is a gift. What do I have to do? Jesus can use the guy as a living illustration, but he doesn't. It's like Jesus goes into deep freeze. He goes into deep freeze relationally. He doesn't even answer the guy's question. He criticizes his greeting. He actually criticizes his greeting. He ignores the compliment that Jesus, or that the young man has paid him, good teacher, and he objects to the use of the word good. It's like when you write a letter to somebody and they criticize your grammar. This is what it feels like. Jesus, doesn't look good. Just like a few weeks ago when we looked at him with the Syrophoenician woman, he just does not look good. And it gets worse. Because here is a question about salvation. Remember, this is the same question that Peter was asked in Jerusalem, or would be asked a couple of years later, would be asked in Jerusalem by the crowd when they said, "What do we have to do to be saved?" The exact same question. But Peter's answer and Jesus' answer are very different. Jesus, if you want, the icon of evangelical Christianity, has been asked, "What must I do to be saved?" And he rolls out a to-do list.